A staffer for a Republican representative in Texas died after being set on fire. They say it was an accident. We don't know exactly what happened, but it's still under investigation. Initial reports say no foul play, but it's a very weird story. And I want to stress, they said no foul play suspected as of yet, still under investigation. The reason I say the story is weird is that, I read the news all day, every day, and this seems to be not normal, that a person is accidentally on fire and dies from it, especially now. I am going to stress for the third time as we start this video, I do not have any information to suggest this was a malicious attack on an individual. Considering the dramatic conversation, the threats of violence and everything going around right now, context does matter, and that's why I think this is important to talk about. It was not that long ago, there were some, I guess you'd call them political activists or staffers in D.C. who were gunned down, an intern gunned down, a Doge employee mercilessly beaten. These stories of violence and death are terrifying. And the reason I bring this up is for two reasons, both simultaneously to say we should be paying attention when people in the political space are being killed or dying for some reason. But I also want to stress, let's not overreact and make the assumption that this is some kind of foul play at the same time. The reason why I say that is, chance favors the prepared. So you don't want to be in a situation where someone says, did you hear about that Republican staffer who was burned to death? And the assumption is made that it was a violent act to kill this person. At the same time, if it turns out to be, or maybe there is violence, you don't want to ignore it. It reminds me of that post during the Israel-Iran war, where a single plane flew straight over Iran. And the meme was, I deleted social media and my mental health has never been better. If you don't pay attention to what's going on in the news and what's happening, you will be ill-informed. So I believe I've provided those caveats enough. Let's read the news. And my condolences to her families. It's a very strange and horrifying story. U.S. Rep. Tony Gonzalez staffer's death under investigation. Her body was on fire. I don't want to die, she told her mother who found her. It's weird. Texas Rangers and the Uvalde Police Department are investigating the death of a congressional staffer for U.S. Rep. Tony Gonzalez. Now, this is Tony Gonzalez. He reps Texas's 23rd. He is a Republican. They say Uvalde officials told the San Antonio Express News the body of Regina Ann Santos Aviles was on fire when police and firefighters were called to her home. She was 35. Santos Aviles had worked as the regional district director for Gonzalez's office since November of 21, according to her LinkedIn profile. Based in Uvalde, she led regional development initiatives and repped the congressman across the district. The case was originally reported to the Uvalde Police Department as a disturbance in the 200 block of Geraldine Avenue, according to police. Santos Aviles' mother, Nora Ann Gonzalez, told the Express News she discovered her daughter at home. It was an accident, she said of her daughter's death, saying Santos Aviles had suffered burns. She described Santos Aviles as a devoted mother to her 8-year-old son. She said her daughter was still conscious when EMS arrived, and she was transported via helicopter to Brooke Army Medical Center in San Antonio. The last thing she said is, "I don't want to die," her mother recalled, and they told her, "We will do our best to make sure we get you taken care of." Mario Rangel, chief of the Uvalde Volunteer Fire Department, told the Express News that firefighters received a call at 9:39 p.m. on Saturday. Dispatch advised of an individual who was on fire. The call was canceled while crews were en route, but 4 firefighters still responded because the home was close to the station. When we arrived, we learned of a fire behind the residence that had been put out with a fire extinguisher. At the same time, EMS personnel were attending to a female who had suffered burns. She was transported by EMS and at some point flown to a San Antonio hospital. Officials said her family is cooperating fully with investigators. Police Chief Homer E. Delgado said in a statement that there was no indication of foul play, but, as is standard, all unattended deaths are investigated. As your chief of police, my heart goes out to the family and friends who are grieving, Delgado said in a statement. In times of loss, our greatest duty is to stand together, support one another, and honor the memory of those who have lost. The Bexar County Medical Examiner said the cause and manner of Santos Aviles' death is still pending and could take 12 to 16 weeks to determine. I just want to say this again. They said accident, no foul play. It's under investigation. Seems to be the case. I'm just trying to Occam's razor how someone accidentally sets themselves on fire and dies. Honestly, please tell me I'm crazy. Tell me I'm wrong. Was she perhaps trying to honestly, maybe she was trying to just move gasoline from a tank to another and it got spilled on her, started a fire she couldn't put out. Maybe she didn't stop, drop, and roll. Maybe she spilled kerosene or some kind of oil on her body and she couldn't get the fire to go out. It does not take that much burns over your body to kill you. This is very serious. In a statement, Congressman Tony Gonzalez lamented her death. We are all heart-stricken by the recent news. Regina devoted her profession toward making a difference in her community. She will always be remembered for her passion towards Uvalde and helping the community. She loved life and her family and loved everyone and loved doing for others. She loved the work that she did and how she helped the communities get funding for things they needed. I hope and I beg and I pray the preliminary report is correct, and that's just where we're at. This story was published yesterday. I'm just now seeing it. I have talked about many, many times what it would look like for the average person in a modern civil war, and it looks like what we are seeing now. Political assassinations, congressional staffers being killed, shootings at universities, bomb threats, swattings. To be fair, this is all overt civil strife. I can't say it again. It appears this was an accidental death. Okay, and I want to make sure that's clear. But just considering the environment that we are in, I think it's important to discuss these stories. September 5th, only 2 weeks ago, Bureau arrests 2 D.C. teens in congressional intern's killing. U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia, Janine Pirro, said Friday that 2 teenagers had been arrested and will be charged with first-degree murder in the connection with the death of a congressional intern earlier this summer. Eric Tarpinian Jackum, a 21-year-old intern in the office of Ron Estes, a Republican, was fatally shot on June 30th when caught in the crossfire of a drive-by shooting as he walked down the street in Northwest Washington. Pirro claimed Tarpinian Jackum, an innocent bystander who was caught in a violent act, was not meant for him. She said 2 17-year-olds will be charged in adult court with first-degree murder while armed, and that additional charges will be sought before a grand jury. A third suspect is also being pursued. I have more for you. It is very strange. 2 Israeli embassy staffers killed in act of terror in D.C. in May. This story you know. I'm going to say it like this. Republican staffers die. Israeli embassy staffers die. I am not saying they're connected. I am not. A drive-by shooting and an accidental death. This one was terrorism. I get it. Consider the optics. When someone puts together a list of congressional staffers or political deaths, they're going to be on that list. And it's Republicans, an Israeli embassy. I am saying this carefully. When these lists of political deaths drop, and they will, it is going to lean in one direction. It is important we understand the context around how these people died and the official reporting. Because otherwise what's going to happen is they're going to say Republican staffer killed, Israeli embassy. Certainly one side benefits from these deaths. Sometimes these things happen. Drive-by shootings happen in D.C. quite a bit. So I think that context is important. I'm actually particularly worried about the escalation of violence and why these stories are happening. It's scary. Very scary. I don't know what to expect next. I don't know how people are going to react to this. I've long mentioned truth doesn't matter to partisans. The left, of course, takes that out of context. My point is, when we are dealing with an escalation of threats of violence, and this is a fact. I mean, I put out a video just a moment ago, liberals threaten to kill conservatives. This is a report I contributed to. And I said, I'm going to keep it simple. I'm not. This is the fact of what happened. I am dealing with this right now. I don't know where we go. I don't know what comes next. All I know is that people are going to see these stories and they're going to draw conclusions And we are at a time where both sides are pointing to each other as existential threats. And that is my concern when I see a story like this. But hopefully, this reporting can preempt any wrongful assumptions about what these stories are actually about. And all I can speak for is those who watch my videos. Cooler heads will prevail, and we will all leave understanding the nuance to these stories. It may not be political violence. Take it with a grain of salt. I'll leave it there. Smash the like button, all that. Stay tuned. More to come. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see you all in the next segment.